with me? There we go. All right, so far so good. Okay, all right, so if you want paper copies of everything, I finally have it. So for 17, it is just the IDs. All right, so just raise your hand if you want it. I'll come throw it at you real quick. Yes, ma'am. Here you go. Absolutely. Yes, no. All right. Yes. I just want to have. Okay. Just the packet. Thank you. All right, Julian, what about you? Just the packet. Okay. Lily, you good? Okay. All right, packets. Packet. Who wants packets?
Thank you.
Absolutely. Ooh, hold on. There we go. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Packets. There we go. Yes, absolutely. Okay, all right, Lily, you still good? Okay. And last but not least, if you did not get it yesterday, does anyone want a paper copy of the study guide? You're welcome. All right, anybody else on the study guide that didn't get it yesterday? We're good? Okay, all right, fantastic. Let's get to it. Let's knock it out. Let's talk about a few things. All right, so we are going to hit bell ringer. We'll talk about your IDs. We'll hit a page in your packet. We are going to hit study guide. We got between now and the end of the, well, Monday. It's due Monday. So we got between now and next Monday to hit that study guide to get you ready for midterm. That is a week from today. And what I do want to take just a minute to talk about is your 1920s project, which it breaks my teacher heart that we are not here under normal circumstances, because this is one of my absolute favorite group skits. I love it. And I don't think I have any saved videos. I wish I did. All right, so what you're doing essentially is, and there's two parts to it. Part one is you're having a conversation using 1920s slang. Is, hey pal, did you see so-and-so drinking giggle water and how he got punched in the kisser while the hi-hat was watching? All right, so that's using 1920s slang. Did I ask you guys this yesterday? What is giggle water? You had a guess. What's giggle water? Alcohol, yeah. All right, so we know that during the 1920s, we had the 18th Amendment, we have prohibition. Alcohol is illegal to sell, consume, and manufacture. So, of course, this is something that a lot of people are not giving up, you know. Yes, moonshine, all the things. Yeah, and bathtub gin, people making it literally in their bathtub. Yeah, and you would go to your next door neighbor that you knew was making it, and you would say, hey, can I buy some eggs from you? Well, you're not there to borrow eggs or buy eggs or get a cup of milk. All right, you're there to actually buy alcohol from them that they're making literally in their bathtub. Yum. So anyway, the second part is that you have to flip and have that same conversation, but you have to flip it, and you have to have it using modern day slang, which, oh God, I struggled so hard because I am not up on half of the stuff that you guys even say. Like somebody said bougie the other day. I don't know. I have no ratchet. I don't know any of these things. I don't know. Y'all say them and I'm pretty sure you're speaking Japanese to me. Like, I don't know what any of these new slang words are, but you guys do. So you would do a better job at it than me trying to give you an example of modern day slang conversation. But that's what you've got to do. All right. And so what I would, definitely encourage you to do is, if you have somebody in here that you would want to work with, or you would want to do it together, and then we can just, you can do your real life conversations in here. But if not, then you can video it, whatever. So I just wanted to give you an example of a super quick little conversation, but I love it. I love it. You click on the link, it goes to that list of 1920 slang. It does tell you what they mean if you're not 100%. Like bee's knees. She's the cat's meow. I love it. It's fantastic. But those are 1920 slang. Okay. All right. Questions, comments, or concerns? If not, then we are going to hit it. We're going to quickly talk about your bell ringer, into notes. Again, make sure that you have IDs, packet, and study guide out, because we are going to hit all three. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with my online people.
and I hope that it cooperates. Oh, hold on. Oh, please work. This may or may not be the right thing. We're going to find out. All right, let's go ahead and talk about your bell ringer while this is pulling up, if it decides to. There we go. Okay. All right, so who was president in the early 1920s? What foreign policy do we revert back to? And I know you probably feel like I'm beating a dead horse by re-asking some of these questions. This is all in preparation for your midterm next Tuesday. I don't want you to forget anything. So Pete and repeat is the name of the game. So we're going to talk about him probably for the last time today, but he is Mr. Warren G. Harding, who is president from they come in office January the following year. So January of 1921 until 1923. He does pass away before he finishes his first term in office. They speculate that it was a health problem, heart attack, stroke, but then there are also rumors that it was Mrs. Harding that might have been slipping some arson, or what is rat poisoning? What is that? The arsenic. Thank you. I knew I said it wrong. Yeah, sneaking that into his food, and that maybe she was the one that really did it. It wasn't necessarily of natural causes, but anyway. All right, last but not least, foreign policy. What do we revert back to after the war? We talked about it yesterday. Isolationism. Yeah, we revert back to isolationism. We are isolating ourselves. We are going back to focusing on us, working on our problems. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. There's a lot of things that we did not finish during our progressive era. And we talked about those yesterday. We still have to work on civil liberties, civil rights issues, political corruption, social wealth gap, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of work we still have to do. So we revert back to isolationism. Again, that is isolating ourselves from the rest of the world, which is actually review. That's all chapter 14, 15 stuff is isolationism and imperialism. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I'm going to say about bell ringer. So we are going to go back to finishing up the notes that we started yesterday, and then I'll intro into some new stuff today. So we're going to hit pages 60 and 61 if you have the packet of printed notes. I hope that's right. Y'all correct me if it's not.
Wasn't it a return to normalcy?
Yeah, so what page is that?
That's 63.
Okay, yeah, I was way off. So if you have the packet of notes at 63, and then we're going to intro to 64. All right, that's what we got. So, and I am going to fast forward a little bit. If there's any of the highlight stuff that you just really want, you can always go back to your Google Slides in your Google Classroom to get anything that you miss. Okay. All right, let's hit it. So this is actually it should be a review because we talked about, sorry, I forgot my screen is frozen. We talked about it last week as we were wrapping up the end of World War I and what's going on. So this is a quick review of the breakdown of why and how the Red Scare happens. The Red Scare actually happens twice. After World War I and then again after World War II. That for most people it's considered an irrational fear of communism. We've never been communist. The idea of us actually falling to communism is a very far-fetched idea, but it was a very real fear that pops up, fades away, and pops back up again. And it all stems from one of our allies falling to communism. We know the Russian Revolution happens in 1917. Vladimir Lenin comes in and takes over. Communism is, for a lot of countries, an easy way out. And we will talk about that a lot, especially after World War II happens. And so many countries fall into an economic collapse. And communism offers an easy way to take care of basic needs. Because look at what he says. He says, peace, land, and bread. He is offering the idea of taking care of basic needs, such as having a job, having money, and having food on the table. Now, it might not be much, but the idea that you will actually have something to feed your family, for a lot of people, that is enough. So they do fall to communism. Again, just a reminder, if you don't remember, communism is just talking about where the government controls everything. The government controls land, business, resources, everything across the board. All right. They set pay, they set everything. So whenever this happens, again, is where we have this Red Scare that follows into the United States. It is feared by radicals. It is feared by revolutionists. It is feared by those that agree with the idea of communism. And this we talked very briefly about, because I knew there was a question on your quiz about the Palmer raids. But Mitchell Palmer, who's Attorney General, actually has a bomb go off outside of his house. And from there, just kind of pops up the idea of creating a federal agency, which does later become the FBI. And then J. Edgar Hoover is going to become the first leader of the FBI, which we see it really has more that they do after World War II, especially when it comes to going after communist supporters. It's almost like a witch hunt after World War II. It's kind of like going back to the Salem witch trials of the 1600s, how anybody that just utters the word communism, they're going to be on you like white on rice, trying to figure out if you're getting ready to have a communist, coup and trying to take over the government. So anyway, a very irrational fear for sure. Now, the other thing, I think it's at the bottom of that box as well, we see a resurgence in the KKK happen after World War I. This feeling of nativism comes back. This feeling of superiority and of racial superiority comes back after World War I. So, and I wasn't going to spend a whole heck of a lot of time talking about it, even though, yeah. So there it is. The growth of the KKK is fueled because, I'm sorry, that'll pop down in a minute, is fueled because of nativism. And then the other thing, and I might talk more about it later than I will right now, you might have noticed this is one of the topic ideas for your Honors Project 3, is talking about Sacco and Vanzetti. This case happens in 1920. Sacco and Vanzetti had multiple strikes against them. They were both immigrants. That's like strike one. They were both anarchists. What is an anarchist? Somebody who believes what? Nobody? If you're an anarchist, that means you don't support any type of government. You don't believe there should be any type of government. There shouldn't be any kind of ruling body controlling what you can and cannot do. So they are anarchist immigrants that are going to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. So a murder takes place. The police show up. They grab both of these guys and take them in. There is little to no evidence at all that these guys actually committed the murder, but it does not matter. Unfortunately for both of these gentlemen, they are convicted. Again, based on very circumstantial evidence, they are both executed. Okay. So here in the United States, we give you the benefit of the doubt. You are considered innocent until proven guilty. Not all countries will give you the benefit of the doubt. There's other countries that is the opposite. You are guilty until proven innocent. And of course, you are supposed to be found either guilty or innocent beyond a reasonable doubt, meaning the jury should decide that decision, meaning that there's not a piece of doubt in your mind that that person is one way or the other. Either they're guilty or they're innocent. But unfortunately for both these guys, all those things were stacked against them. They found them guilty. They were executed. And they didn't do it. That's the worst part. Killing innocent people. That's a problem. All right. Last but not least, Let's talk about the end of the Harding administration and go into the Coolidge, because Coolidge is going to get us through the rest or the majority of the 1920s. So we're going to talk about him very briefly before we move on. So prosperity does return. Again, our economy starts going back up that economic hill. People are spending money. They're cashing in war bonds. But there are a few things that happened during Harding's administration. Harding has a big scandal that happens during his time in office. And here's the worst part about it. We can't even ask Harding if he knew about it, because he ends up dying before he can be questioned. But the scandal is the Teapot Dome scandal. And again, here's another problem, that Harding and many presidents before him have made the mistake of hiring friends and family members to top positions. And one of the guys that's going to take the fall of it is, well, Albert Fall, who's the Secretary of the Interior. So Albert Fall and several other individuals that were part of White House staff and cabinet positions ended up being in on these oil-rich lands that the government owned. They leased them out to private companies, and they walked away making millions. These guys made millions. Now, after the whole story shakes down, these guys end up losing, obviously, their government position. I'm sure they were fined, and lost some of the money they had made. But of course, they didn't get anywhere close to the punishment that they should have. So Harding's administration is embarrassed. Again, several officials are sent to office. Some of them just get a simple slap on the wrist. But again, we can't ask Harding about it to see how much he actually knew, because he will pass away in 1923. His VP, Calvin Coolidge, takes over. Calvin Coolidge, who is, they're very opposites. And sometimes that's why we pick certain VP candidates to go with certain presidential candidates, because sometimes opposites kind of weld and mesh well together. Harding, who is a very loud, outspoken, very extrovert individual, is the very opposite of Coolidge. Coolidge is very quiet, and he's one of these that there was a lady that was at a party, and she said, you know what, I bet you $20 that I probably can't get Coolidge to say more than 5 words to me. And they don't know if Coolidge actually heard her say that or not. But she lost the bet, because she asked him something and he literally said only 3 or 4 words to her. But anyways, but he's a very quiet spoken individual. All right. And he was an underdog. Like, nobody believed he would actually win the presidency on his own. So the 1924 election, there's his campaign, Keep Cool with Coolidge. Even though Congress called him Solid Cow or Do Nothing Cow, because they didn't think that he was just a very strong president. But anyway, they didn't think he would win. He does, and he will go from 24 to 28. And then this guy right here will be the one that will get us into the Great Depression. He's a very interesting individual, Herbert Hoover. Herbert Hoover was Secretary of Commerce, all right? So Secretary of Business, pretty much. He was sent overseas a lot. He actually spent a lot of time in China. Fun fact, did you know that him and his wife were very fluent in Mandarin? And when he was president, and again, he's president 1928 to 1932, during the start of the Great Depression, that he and his wife would speak Mandarin to one another when they were in the White House, so they could have private conversations and nobody else knew what they were talking about. No? Very bougie, right? Yeah? Okay. All right. I tried. All right. I do want to say just a couple of things about, 64, the next page, and then we got to move on to your packet, ID, study guide, all the things. So give me just a minute to talk about just a couple of things, then we got to roll. So the 1920s, which, the mid 1920s were just an awesome time to be alive. All the excitement, the music, the fashion, not so much the gangs and the gang related deaths and accidents, like that part, not so much. But for the most part, the 1920s were a really fun, exciting time period. So Calvin Coolidge says, business of America is business. Let's get back to it. We are seeing the very beginning of The automobile, so new technology. So of course, everybody's cashing in more bonds. Everybody wants that new piece of technology. Everybody wants their very first car. And now that we have cars, we're going to see the very beginning of suburbs. So you don't have to live in the city if that's where you work. Now you can drive into the city and you can build you a nice little country home. And we see the very beginning of that urban sprawl. Electricity, again, I know we've had the technology for electricity, but the idea that now we have the money and time and we actually taking power lines out, electricity is connecting more than just cities now. Now we're moving outside to the suburbs. And then I've got a little ad for you. Now it's on the next page. My bad. One more page. So again, just a quick couple of things. Now, here's some foreshadowing for you, okay? Everybody wants to, have you ever heard the phrase keeping up with the Joneses? All right, well, everybody wants the new technology. Everybody wants a new car. Everybody wants a new radio. Everybody wants these new electric appliances. Well, not everybody has that same paycheck to pay for all these new fancy gadgets and gizmos. So people are going to start buying things on installment plans. Buy now and pay as you go. All right. Again, this is foreshadowing of what's to come as we get ready to get to the Great Depression. Nobody has any money. They didn't have money to begin with, but they were just going out and buying stuff. It's kind of like people when they get credit cards, they get like 5 credit cards, they max them all out, but they don't really have the paycheck to be paying on those credit card bills, right? Well, all the problems are going to stem from people trying to live outside of their means and buy all these new pieces of technology. So the very beginning of buying using installment plans, this is like pre-credit cards. We don't have credit cards yet. This is like the beginning of credit cards. But we do have Henry Ford, one of the many guys who is considered the men who built America, if you've ever seen that history series. So Henry Ford is going to come up with the brilliant idea of using the assembly line process and using it as efficiently as possible. Look at how he changes things. So they were taking like a 12-hour day to put a single car together, but using the assembly line process to where, yes, if you're having to be a worker on the assembly line, you would want to probably beat your brains out because it would be the most boring thing you've ever experienced. Because your job, you're just doing the same thing all day long, 12 hours a day. If all I do is put the back tire on, and that's all I do every single day. But what is the benefit of that? If I do, go ahead.
More of it, like mass production.
Right, yeah. So if that's all I do all day, every day, I should be able to just do it super fast. So now we're pumping out cars instead of one a day. Now we're doing a car every 90 minutes. A whole entire car every 90 minutes because I could do that all day, every day in my sleep, blindfolded, one hand, because you're doing that same job over and over. That's how well you know it. So they're pumping out cars like crazy. And he also is paying the best around. People are coming all across the country to try to work at a Ford factory. He has a $5 a day plan with pay raises, 8 hours a day. Again, that's one of the biggest options. So let me ask you to guess before I show you the advertisement for a brand new car of the 1920s. What do you think? You had to guess. How much would a brand new 1920s sedan cost you?
Would it be like, was $5 a lot back then?
Yeah.
Like what was the equivalency of that a day to like now?
I don't want to give you too much because
$500, $400.
500, 400, anybody else got another guess? I'm just curious to see what y'all would say.
I don't know at all.
All right, here it is. Here's our advertisement for a brand new, where's the advertisement? Did I skip over it? I swear I saw it. Where'd it go? There it is. I did skip over it. Daggone it. Oh, well. All righty, so look at this. Now, this is an up model, all right, because your base model is $559. And if you, like, I don't know, there's another option for $421, and that might be like one without the doors. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just thinking. But the highest quality sedan is going to cost you $775. Now, obviously that is way different because our standard of living today is way higher as far as the cost of items. But anyway, here you go. Modern sedan, $775. Do you know what a brand new car, the 1920s, is also going to come with? It's going to come with a manual, and that manual says how to drive an automobile.
So you didn't have to have a driver's license.
We didn't have to up until now, so now that's something we got to start working on. We got to start putting stuff like that together. We got to start putting up. And in the beginning, they didn't need to worry about speed limit signs because the fastest most of these cars went was around 55 miles an hour. But of course, first mechanics are going to start working on them, figure out how to soup them up. They're souping them up mostly because we're trying to outchase the police because we got alcohol in the back, all right? Which again leads to NASCAR and all the bootleggers and all that, right? But there was a guy who said, you know what, my job was a car salesman and I took the car to the person. They drove it there. There weren't any car dealerships. So he had to take the car to them. And then what do you think part 2 of his job is? Oh, well, I ain't even got that far. Part 2 of his job is teaching you how to drive that car, not just selling it to you. He's got to teach you how to drive it. So it's a 2-in-1. He's not just a car salesman. He is also your driving instructor.
How did you learn how to drive?
Well, the company would teach him. Yeah. And he said the funniest thing is he would always try and find a flat piece of road to let them practice on. But he said every time they went to stop, they would forget to hit the brakes. They would just pull on the steering wheel and say, whoa. Why?
Horses.
They're used to stopping horses. And because there's not age limits, they would say, all right, that's great. Teach my wife to drive and every kid that can reach the pedals. True story. True story. Okay. All right. I didn't mean to get into stories. All right. Grab your stuff, your packets, your IDs. We're stopping there with notes. We'll keep going tomorrow. And I'm sorry I get into stories and I love my story time, but let's get back to it. All right. Now I'm only going to briefly talk about your IDs. We've talked about this before, that if you ever have just terms, you're going to work on identifying them by yourself. And I will give you time in class to work on busting out the first 15. We'll do the second 15 tomorrow. But we've got to spend most of your time on the packet and your study guide. So keep out the IDs because I will give you time to work on defining those on your own. And like I said, you should be finished with them tomorrow and you can go ahead and turn them in. But unless you have a question about one specifically, but if not, you're just going to define them. All right, grab your packet. We are on 17-1, guided reading in your packets. So is that what, second page? Second page, 17-1, guided reading. It is fill in the blank, and it is an excellent review from what we've kind of walked through yesterday and today. So it is fill in the blank, follow along with me, and then we're going to hit your study guide. The presidency of Warren Harding was marred by scandal. Number 1, Harding made several distinguished appointments to his cabinets. That's your answer. Your answer is cabinets. And this included Charles Evans Hughes, Herbert Hoover, and Andrew Mellon. Number 2, Harding also gave high-level jobs to his friends. That's blank number 1, friends. Again, that's one of the mistakes he's going to make. Friends and political allies. That's blank 2. Blank 2 is political allies. Number 3 says Harding's head of the Bureau, Veterans Bureau, sold scarce medical supplies for blank 1. Medical supplies from veterans hospitals and kept the money at a cost to the taxpayers of $250 million. $250 million. Number 4 says Harding's Secretary of the Interior was secretly bribed by Albert Fall. Albert, Albert, Albert Fall, who was the Secretary of the Interior, in an incident that became known as the Teapot Dome scandal. I know that's a lot to squeeze in. I'm sorry. Teapot is one word. Teapot Dome scandal. And it was called that because it's deep. Teapot Dome is the name of the town. Fun fact. There you go. Teapot Dome. Number 5, Attorney General Harry Daltrey participated in a bribe involving a German-owned American company and its valuable chemical patents. That's your answer. Chemical patents. Number 6, rather than testifying under oath, Daltrey claimed immunity. Immunity. On the basis of his confidential dealings with the president. All right, section 2 says, during the 1920s, the United States sought to promote peace and stability using economic policies and arms control agreements. Number 7, Treasury Secretary Andrew Mellon convinced Congress to create the, and again, I know this is a lot to put in the blank, Bureau of the Budget. You have to squeeze it in best you can. Bureau of the Budget, in order to track government spending. Number 8 says the idea that lower taxes cause the economy to grow by increasing consumer spending is known as supply side. Supply dash side. And I'm pretty sure that's actually one of your IDs as well. Supply side. Supply side economics. Number 9, Herbert Hoover sought to promote economic growth with his philosophy of individualism. Individualism, which encouraged businesses to form trade associations. Number 10, in 1921, representatives from 8 nations came to the U.S. to discuss how to end their costly naval arms race. Number 11, last one. One of the most notable foreign policy achievements of the Coolidge administration was the Kellogg Brand Pact. And that may or may not be one of your IDs too, if you need to know how to spell it. I can't remember, I don't have a list with me. The Kellogg, Kellogg dash brand, BRIAND, Pact, PACT.
Brand?
BRIAND. And it's because of the names of the 2 senators. One was Senator Kellogg and one was Senator Brand. So there you go. Which stated that all signing nations would settle disputes by peaceful means. And again, we talked about that yesterday. That's really an attempt to outlaw war.
So it was the hat.
Pact, P-A-C-T.
What was number 7?
Number 7 was Bureau of the Budget. Bureau of the Budget. Okay. All right. So because I took up too much time doing my stories, we'll hit probably 2 more pages in your notes tomorrow, because we definitely have to get to the story of the flappers, those scandalous women exposing knees and elbows. What were they thinking? It's crazy talk. All right, let's do it. It is study guide time. Study guide time. I know you were super excited. And I myself am very interested to see how much you remember. We haven't done anything else. That's the first we've done in it. Yep. I'm very interested to see how well you do in your study guide. How much do you remember from, like, what, 8 weeks ago? Maybe 8 weeks ago? Let's see. Let's see how you do. All right, we're starting. We are on the front page. We are starting Wild West. Are you ready?
No, this one's loading.
Oh.
So it's midterm study?
Yeah, when you hit the study guide, and it should be the last option on there. It should be, it should say study guide and then West, because Wild West is that first unit.
Chris Walker.
Yes.
What was number 8 on this page?
Hold on.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Number 8 was supply side.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, all right. Do you want to follow along on paper for right now, or you just want to?
I'm turning on my hotspot right now. I don't have my.
You could turn on a dot, like just make a dot and type the answers. If you can't get the like actual page to pull up.
Wait. And it's the last one?
Yeah, it should be that last one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just.
Okay. Okay, all right, let's see how far we get on this and then we'll keep going tomorrow. All right, number 1. What is another name for the Great Plains? Another nickname, I guess you could say. So you might hear it called the American deserts. You might hear it called the open range. Either one is fine. The Great Plains, also known as the American desert or the open range. All right, number 2. What 2 things were many Plains Indians dependent upon? Ooh,
The buffalo.
buffalo is one of them. What's another one? They're actually going to use these to help them hunt the buffalo. Horses and buffalo. Yeah, horses and buffalo. Good review question. Who remembers, are horses native to the Americas? No, they are not. They are not. They were brought by those Spanish conquistadors. It's a fun word to say, conquistador. All right, number 3. We're not going to put 4. There's no room to squeeze in 4. We're just going to put 2 of the tribes that we talked about the most that you'll see on your actual test. All right, so Plains Indians tribes. We talked about the Lakota Sioux, probably the most. That's Lakota, not Dakota. That is Lakota Sioux. And Sioux is S-I-O-U-X. Lakota Sioux. And the Nez Perce. And that's N-E-Z. Nez Perce. 2 words. Nez Perce.
It says 4.
Yeah, I made the executive decision. We're going to cut it down just to 2 to save time. And those are the 2 that you're going to be tested on anyway. Yeah, there might be a lot of executive decisions going into this. Number 4, why did the railroads extend to the west? Why do we need the railroads going out west? What are railroads pushing out? They're taking what? Well, yeah, but I mean, we're going to generalize it. We're going to say goods and people. They're moving goods and people. That's why we need the railroad, because we need to go faster. They're pushing out goods and people. And they can get them out faster than we would be traveling by wagon or horse or obviously walking. Okay. Number 5, what animal did the railroads nearly drive to extinction? It is buffalo. It is buffalo. What is the scientific name for buffalo? When you go to the zoo. Yes, the American bison. Yeah, if you go to the zoo, they're not going to be called buffalo. They're going to be called the American bison because that's what they actually are called. Our settlers just nicknamed them buffalo. Where am I at? 6. What is a cross-country railroad called? This is what you're going to see it called on the midterm. Cross-country. Transcontinental. Transcontinental. Transcontinental means it's going from East Coast to West Coast and back.
Trans means across.
There you go. There you go. Across the continent. There it is. Number 7, name the 2 railroads that built the Transcontinental. So this is a great question because these 2 railroads are going to meet. Promontory Point, Utah, 1869 to complete the railroad. It is the Union Pacific and the Central Pacific. Union Pacific and Central Pacific.
Central and Union.
Yes, ma'am. Yep. All right, man. I get jacked up and I answer my own questions before I get there. Number 8, when and where?
Promontory Point, 1869.
1869. Yeah, Utah. Promontory Point, Utah, 1869. I love it, man. I love it. Anybody else sit at home and you're just like, can somebody just throw me some trivia questions so I can answer them?
Every day.
All the time, right? All the time. Ah, I love it. Like playing that trivia crack game. I used to play that like all the time.
That was fun.
Like, no, I mean, I would lose my butt off if it was like art questions or sports. I'm no use there. But if they hit me on that geography and history, I'm killing them every time. Every time. But anyway, that's a topic for another day. All right, where am I at? 9. What was the basic conflict between settlers and Indians?
Land.
Land. One word. Land. That is it. Land. Number 10, what Indian lands were invaded by miners looking for gold? All right, and I realize this is not being very specific because obviously this happened a lot, like everywhere, but it's talking about the Black Hills and the Dakotas. Black Hills, and why is it called the Dakotas? They're not separate yet. Yeah, they're not separate yet. It's just Dakota territory. They're all just one big block of land right then.
The Dakotas and
The Black Hills. Black Hills and the Dakotas. Daggone it. Where am I at now?
11.
11. Name the battle where Custer and his men were defeated. Little Bighorn. Yes. Yes. Little Bighorn. Little Bighorn. Fantastic. All right, 12. Name the 2 Indian leaders at Custer's last stands. Ooh. Ooh, who's there? Who's there? Who is it?
It was like Crazy Horse.
Crazy Horse and
Sitting Bull.
Sitting Bull. Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull. Yes. Love it. Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull. Okay. 13, who was the chief of the Nez Perce Indians? He's the only one that had what you would call a Christian name.
Chief Joseph.
Chief Joseph. Yes. Chief Joseph. All right, 14, name the last of the Indian battles. 1890.
Was it Wounded Knee?
It is Wounded Knee. Yes. Wounded Knee. 15, what law gave Indian families 160 acres of land?
Which ones?
Say it again. Dawes Act. Yeah. D-A-W-E-S. Dawes Act. All right, 16, what name was given to the area where cattle were ranched? Just open range. Open range. They just let them roam. The open range. All right, 17, why did the demand for cattle increase? And the short answer is because of the Civil War. The demand on meat went up because of the Civil War. We got to feed soldiers and civilians. Civil War. All right, 18, this should be easy. How is the life of the cowboy different than what we imagine? You know, TV makes it sound fun, but it was actually what? Dangerous, dirty, long hours, low pay. I mean, just pick a couple. Pick a couple. Dangerous, dirty, lonely. You're not actually riding with your buddies like what they show. Lonely, dirty, dangerous, long hours. 19, what invention of Joseph Glidden's changed the frontier? Now we're actually closing off the open range. What's the invent? Barbed wire. Barbed wire. Fantastic. All right, 20, name 4 areas where the country faced a gold rush. Where did we find gold? All right, so Dakotas. Where else?
California.
How did y'all not like say California first? Come on. California, Arizona, Nevada, Alaska, the Dakotas, the list goes, Colorado. Just pick a couple, all right? There's a lot. Can't believe nobody jumped on California. California Gold Rush. 49ers. Who is it? What sports team is named the 49ers? San Francisco, but was that football? Football? Yeah, 49ers. Well, that's 1849. Gold Rush, 49ers. There you go. Come on. 21. What is a ghost town? All right, short definition of this. Abandoned mining town. That's about as short as you can get. A ghost town is an abandoned mining town. And for space purposes, I'm going to try and make it as short as possible. All right, 22. What were the short stories that were told of legend, adventure, and they were nicknamed this because of how much they cost? They only costed a dime, so they were called, nobody? Dime novels. They were called dime novels. They only cost a dime. Dime novels. D-I-M-E, dime novels. 23. What law created 160 acres of land for settlers, farmers? Homestead. Yes, Homestead Act. Not to be confused with Dawes Act. Homestead Act is for farmers. Homestead. Good. 24. Name 3 technological advances that improved life on the frontier. You got seed drill, windmill, mechanical reaper, steel plow. Just pick a couple. You don't have to put all of them.
You said what?
Windmill, seed drill, steel plow, mechanical reaper. Yeah. All right, 25. Ooh, this is a good one. Type of house that many Plains families built.
Was it the sod house?
Yes, sod, S-O-D, sod houses. Just thinking about those gives me nightmares. Can you imagine like literally a snake just crawling through your wall and just like nestling up next to you? And oh God, oh, take it now, Jesus. That's what I'd say. Take it now. I can't do it. All right. 26. Name 3 reasons that farming began to decline in the late 1800s. Tariffs, taxes, drought. Those are 3 big ones. Tariffs, taxes, and drought. Not even to mention railroad. Railroad prices. Yeah, I mean, they just, bless their hearts. I mean, they just have it rough. Railroad prices, taxes, tariffs, drought, all the things. Swarms of grasshoppers. You know, who hears stories like that? That's just good times right there.
27.
Yep. What is the overall decrease in the price of goods called? So prices go up, it's inflation. When they go down, it's deflation. All right, 28. How did this hurt farmers? Obviously, they're going to lose profit. Lose profit. That's an easy answer right there. Lose profit. 29. What did farmers want to do to stop this trend? That's when we had the discussion that they wanted to change our currency. So just write that. Change currency. Change currency. They wanted to change it to being backed by silver, so there'd be more to go around, but we know that changes the value of it and all the problems that causes. 30, what group often took advantage of farmers? Railroad owners. Railroad owners. All right, 31, what is the other name for the Grange? And they were actually known as the patrons of husbandry before. I was going to write that on the board for you, but it's also, all these answers are actually coming from your pages of notes, and they actually do go in order. But it's patrons, P-A-T-R-O-N-S, patrons of husbandry, before they became known as the Grange. 32, what were Granger laws? We're just going to put the big one. The big one was railroad regulations. Railroad regulations was the big one. And then they're about to merge into question 33. What political party formed to replace the Grange? The Populist Party. P-O-P-U-L-I-S-T. Populist Party. Because farmers are going to join up with workers to become the Populist Party. 34, name several reforms proposed by the new People's Party. Oh gosh, and a lot of this does have to do with workers, but 8-hour work days, better pay, regulation of railroads, immigration restrictions was another one. And again, you don't have to put all those.
What was the immigration one?
Reforms, immigration reforms.
You're on 35.
Okay, yeah, my goal is to see if we can make it through this page. That's my goal. 35, what was the overall theme of the 1896 presidential campaign? Money. It was all over money. Who has it, who doesn't have it, who needs it? Money, one word, money. 37, name the two candidates for the 1896 election. So the two,
Yeah, 36.
did I, man, daggone it. Okay, sorry. What was the Cross of Gold speech? Condemning corrupt politics. Condemning corrupt politics. Sorry. All right, now we're on 37. Name the two candidates for president in 1896. It's the Williams. William McKinley and William Jennings Bryan. William McKinley, who wins, and then William Jennings Bryan. Bryan is Bryan. So McKinley and Bryan. All right, we're almost there. 39, name 3 reasons why the U.S. became the world's leading economy. Resources.
You missed 38.
Ah, God.
It's hard.
Dang it.
Actually, I think you did say, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, I did. I guess that's why, because I said it when I was giving the other answer. It's McKinley. Yeah, my bad. See, I tell you, I get jacked up, man. I get jacked up and I just keep going. So 38 is McKinley. Hold on. Let's see what my time is.
Attention students, if you participated in Spirit Week and you have your American flag gear on, please come to the gym to get your picture done. Thank you.
Okay, all right, that's fine. I don't know that we're going to get to finish necessarily, but we'll see if we can get at least a couple more and then we'll stop. 39, name 3. Did I do it again? Is that it?
You're on 39.
Okay, all right. 3 reasons why the U.S. became the world's leading economy. We got resources, money, and people. Resources, money, and people. All right, 40, what policy has the government not interfering in people's lives? And it is a French word. It is laissez-faire. Laissez-faire. I'm not.
It's LAIZAIRE.
Oh God, there's all the things.
Well,
I'm just doing my best to know what it
I
means.
just put something kind of like it.
Yeah, there's A's and I's and there's some Z's in there. There's a hyphen. It is, it is hyphenated. Laissez
what?
faire. FAIRE. Hey, you might have gotten half of it. Look at that. I'll tell you, I don't claim to be the best speller. I'll tell you that. Okay. All right. Let's see. What number was that?
41.
41. We're on 41, right? What laws protected American businesses from foreign competition? What do I want you to put for that? Just put tariffs. I don't remember if I wanted a specific tariff on that answer, or just for right now, we're going to put tariffs. Taxes on imports, because we want people to buy American made. I think that's where I was going with that one. 42, the idea that large businesses can operate more efficiently. That is called economies of scale. Economies of scale. This is getting into that chapter 12 business stuff. All right, let's see if we can roll through these last couple. Who invented the telephone? Alexander Graham Bell. 44 is light bulb. Who gave us the light bulb?
Oh, Thomas Edison.
Edison. Edison, Thomas Edison.
I thought you were saying the answer was light bulb.
Oh, no. Thomas Edison. 45, what industry helped bring about time zones? We'll stop here. Why do we need to make sure we have time zones so that we can have everything? Railroad, trains. We needed it because we need to make sure the trains are there on time.
We're stopping there.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna make it much further before the bell rings. Not too bad. My goal was to hit all this page. That's not bad.
We did more than we did yesterday.
Well, I knew we
We did
would.
have less time.
Right. Yeah, you had your quiz yesterday and all the things. Okay. All right. I'm really sorry, my virtual people. I'm sorry. It took a while, but that was your study guide. Almost all of page 1. All right. Bye, guys.